And welcome back to episode 2 of the Rock Shop podcast. For segment 1, we're going to be talking about Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad. Joining me is a new customer to the Rock Shop, and she is...
Hi guys, what's up? I'm Sarah. I'm a huge cosplayer, nerd, geek, whatever you want to call me. I'm totally into Marvel, DC. I dabble in a little bit of everything. So nice to meet y'all. How are y'all?
Not so much y'all, it's just me and you, but...
I mean, fair, but...
That's cool. Do you have like a Instagram or anything or any social media for your cosplay, or do you just keep that offline or what?
As of right now, I just kind of keep my cosplays to myself. I do not have the confidence just yet to pull off some of the bigger things. Mine are just very simple, very basic. It's kind of like there's this thing called Disney downplay, which is basically where you dress up in normal clothes and your favorite Disney characters. Like, for instance, one of ones I've done is Winnie the Pooh with like a red shirt and like a mustard skirt and then brown slacks and then do bear ears and walk around Disney World as like that's my somewhat downplay cosplay. So stuff like that. But I also do like, I did a Winry cosplay for MomoCon a few years ago when I graduated high school. But yeah, I just keep them to myself because I am not that confident just yet.
So basically, what you're saying is like Disney downplay. So that's like cosplaying at Disney, but it's kind of subtle. Or what's that?
Yeah, it's very subtle. It's not going above and beyond like you see normal cosplayers do with like MomoCon, DragonCon, or my personal favorite, Pensacon. It's basically doing the bare minimum to where you know what character you're playing or you're dressing up as, but not being as extravagant.
I was cosplaying as a Disney character the other day. I was wearing a white button-down shirt, green pants that I like, and I wore glasses. So yeah, that was my Peter Griffin cosplay.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, basically what's so great about this month, since it's October, every day is like you can dress up as like any cosplay you want. Like, I'm pretty sure tomorrow I'm gonna cosplay as what's her name? Marceline from Adventure Time. So I'm pretty stoked. I'm gonna wear that rock shirt that she gave Princess Bubblegum. In one of the episodes that you see, like especially in Distant Lands. But yeah.
Wow, I realize now I've been cosplaying as Peter Griffin like every day.
Well, I mean, it is the perfect month right now. I mean, we have like every day is like Halloween. Every day is like dress up day. This is the only month besides. No, yeah, this is the only month where you can dress up and nobody's gonna care, like, every day.
Wow. Holy crap, Lois. This is worse than the time. I don't know. There's a guy who, like, goes to comic book conventions who's, he actually is, like, real-life Peter Griffin, and, like, I joke, but this is, like, an overweight dude who, wears, like, who actually wears like the white button-down, the pants, the right glasses. He just goes around. That's his little shtick. I don't know if he gets paid, but
he does. I know exactly who you're talking about. He got to come to Pensacon, which is in Pensacola, Florida, and for anybody listening, I highly suggest going to this con. You get some of the best group of people I have met. If you're a Doctor Who fan, I got to meet Mickey, Rose's mom, and I got to meet David Tennant's father-in-law, who played, I think, the 5th or 6th Doctor, Peter Davidson. But anyway, backtracking, He did come to Pensacon, and he did a whole full panel, and I think me and my friend just went to it for like, giggles and whatnot. And so, but it was very spot on, and it was almost like we were watching an episode, because he has a friend who sounds just like Lois. And it was just, it was just so funny to me, because I was like, all right, either they're going to pull up a full-on episode and they're just going to reenact it, or they're going to pull out a script and then they're going to reenact it. Either way, felt like we were watching TV.
Yeah, that guy. I see that guy like a lot of places. I've only been to one con before, but I have seen like his photo like everywhere. I feel like I may have seen him once, but that was years ago. I don't know, but it's crazy.
Oh yeah, he's a good dude. But like, anywho, but yeah, that's the kind of cosplay that I'm probably going to be doing for the next few days until Halloween hits. Because if my costume comes in, because I'm trying to get into, like, I'm weaning myself off of it, but I'm trying to get myself into, buying, or not buying, but making my own cosplays. I did make my first few cosplays on my own, which you could tell who I was when I went to MomoCon. However, I want to get better at the craft, because I feel like, cosplaying is such, like, there's good and bad things of it, and people 9 times out of 10 now are hearing the good part of cosplaying, but people 9 times out of 10 think cosplaying is, not so great things. But if you ever, I heard you say you've only been to one con. What con did you go to?
It was Atlanta Comic Con 2018. It was pretty all right. I think it was the first year they did it.
Oh yeah, if you ever want to go to a good one, I would recommend going to Pensacon. I've said it like probably like the 4th or 5th time already, but Pensacon has got to be, that was my first con, and it was amazing.
So Sarah, a big fan of Suicide Squad. Can you tell me a little bit about your history, I guess, with the whole IP?
My whole thing with Suicide Squad is that I did read the comics, and I did read a lot of like different variations of it. So I was, and the only reason I really was into Suicide Squad was mainly because of course, the infamous Harley Quinn. I have been told by multiple people, friends, family, and now a professor, that I act a lot like her, but without the, voices in my head, and just being overall crazy. But I'm a huge Quinn fan, always have been. I admire her for kind of, becoming a villain to a vigilante. And you know my whole thing with her is that, she was supposed to get her own show in the 60s, but here we are, or not even 60s, but it was either the 60s, 70s, or 80s, but here we are, 2 to 3 decades later, and she's now just getting her own spotlight. Like, so with the Suicide Squad being entangled into that, she played a huge role into it.
Well, I think
Besides, Shark King and oh gosh, what's his name? Oh, I'm gonna think of it later, and I'm gonna be like, that dude. Oh gosh, Deathstroke. There it is. I think I'm saying it wrong, and I think I have the wrong guy, but that dude.
well, I think it's interesting because she debuted in Batman the Animated Series. I know that much. I don't really care for her that much. I'm just kind of neutral. I think Margot Robbie's interpretation can be a little grating, but that's just me. I'm pretty neutral to character overall, but I do think it is interesting because she's from the early '90s, I believe, and I mean, for such a big kind of name from DC Comics, who largely rely on characters from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I think that is kind of neat how they had this one standout character. And I have to say, like, the character itself is like perfect. I mean, the name is a pun on Harlequin, and I do like the character. I just don't really care too much now with what they're doing with her. But did you like the original Suicide Squad movie?
Oh, definitely. I prefer that more than the new one. I think the new one, don't get me wrong, the new one's great and all that, but I prefer the original because as many people have said it to me before and that I've heard it, the sequels have always been not the best. But everybody is entitled to their own opinion and their own thoughts and minds and all that. But I thought the first one was very well made. The only thing I have to critique on it is, Enchantress and her brother and just the villain that they chose. I feel like the villain was great, but also it could have been a little bit better. Um, but that's just me. I also think that they could have, I don't know. Enchantress, that wasn't her. I don't think that's her original character design. I definitely think to fit with, beauty standards of today, what people find, attractive, is to go against a lot of, character designs. I mean, unless they're like a super popular character, like, in Marvel, like Iron Man or, Batman and DC or, especially like Harley Quinn, like, they beat to their own drum and with Hollywood movies and such like that. Um but those are my thoughts. I think it was overall pretty good. I just didn't really care for the villain that they chose and how that worked out. I mean, they did really well with the storyline of who Enchantress is and how like they came to be, but like I don't know. I feel like for Suicide Squad, they could have done a better villain. Like I don't I mean that's just my opinion of it, but that I mean anyway.
To preface this, of course, you're entitled to your own opinion, and I think that's interesting. Most people pretty. I think most people alright like dislike the film, and a decent amount of people are neutral too. So I do think it's kind of interesting to hear you say, you like this one, but not so much the new one, which I know we briefly talked before, and you said you hadn't seen the new one. It's kind of funny because I assumed when you want to do this topic that you meant the new one, and then I think a few days before I called you up, and you're like, "Oh no, I was talking about the original." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Well, yeah, because the original just has so much to unpack. And don't get me wrong, the new, I mean, I'm sorry, the old one has so much to unpack, and the new one, I mean, granted, it does. It has Peter Capaldi, it has Pete Davidson, and and all this other stuff. And then you have like John Cena in it. I don't know. Like, I feel like the first cast of the original Suicide Squad had much more, reputable people. And I mean, Pete Davidson's a comedian, and then you have like um John Cena, who is a WWE wrestler, like not no, not WWE. Yeah, is it WWE?
Yeah,
Yeah.
WWE.
Yeah, and so, it's just I don't know. I mean, I applaud. I mean, not saying that those actors aren't bad people and they're not good actors. I mean, they're great. They're all great people, great actors. John Cena's kind of doing what the Rock started doing. He went and had his wrestling career and then he's like, "Huh, I want to go into acting." And he did. Like, that's awesome. That's congrats, dude. Um However, it's just you had Will Smith, you had Margot Robbie, you had
Who else
what's her
was in that
name?
movie?
Say what?
Who else was even in that movie?
It's just I mean, trying to I'm gonna actually pull that up and look that up because I'm very like the cast for the first cast of Suicide Squad, and you would think,
Let me look that up. I do think this is interesting. It's kind of like a point counterpoint kind of thing that we could do here because
well,
um,
that's okay. Here's
I
the
feel
thing.
about I feel about the second one the way you feel about the first one, and I'm actually kind of interested. I know one talking point was, since you hadn't seen the second one, how the second one is what the first one should have been. But I am interested in hearing like counterpoints on your part, saying like, oh, actually, well, first one achieved this. This is what's cool. But I do want to say like my little bit of history real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. I have the cast like of the second one pulled up. Um and to kind of like prove my point, you have all these actors who I wouldn't they're not really relevant. Like the only one that's relevant is freaking Margot Robbie. You have, I mean, the people that aren't, I mean, not saying that these actors aren't good or bad and all this other stuff, but you have Idris Elba and Sylvester Stallone, Pete Davidson, John Cena, um who is the other guy I just saw? I mean, Sean Gunn is in this, and he does a great job as playing like one of the prisoners in the, and then Calendar Man, and then the Weasel. However, it's just I don't know, like the original cast just had, you know, like just better things because like you had Will Smith, you had Viola Davis, you had Jared Leto, you had David Harbour, the guy who plays Hopper in Stranger Things. You had Joel Kinnaman, which I mean, all of these actors are great, and you had Scott Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's son. You had Common, who played Mons. I mean, you had like not like I mean, the cast just had like more meat to it, if you will. It felt like it had more steak, like a good nice steak, while you had like the second one was basically in terms of meat a small filet mignon.
Well, what I'd say about that is the interesting thing about Suicide Squad, or the Suicide Squad versus the original Suicide Squad, is just okay. I don't care for James Gunn that much. I think
What?
I think he's incredibly talented, and I think my opinion of him has actually increased since this has come out. I like Guardians 1. I know he was in a lot of indie stuff pre Guardians, and, sure, I can respect that. I just haven't seen too much of him. I think a lot of people say, well, I've seen Guardians 1 and 2.
Well, I mean,
I
James
love
Gunn, like he has a wide array of talent. Like he to me, when I first saw him, was when he played in Gilmore Girls. He was basically like the Sheldon of that group. He was just very nitpicky, very his character was just very nitpicky. And then growing up, he did play in other things, but that's how I originally know him as. And then I feel like his talent and his acting skills have definitely increased since being in Guardians of the Galaxy and now the new Suicide Squad. Um,
Well, you
I
could
do.
you look at the Suicide Squad, and it's incredible. I mean, I think like the Suicide Squad isn't my favorite movie of the year, and superhero movies, I'm not so big into that like I
Oh,
used to.
I'm
But
definitely huge
I,
into superhero movies. Like I like to kind of preference what I mean by I'm huge into that. My stepdad and I have had at the dinner table full blown like I'm standing up arguments saying like we like okay. So when Superman versus Batman came out,
yeah,
it was kind of like arguments like that, like who do you think is going to win? And obviously I have my answer. I'm not going to say my answer because that's another argument that we could tackle, but I'm not. But it's just like those full-blown arguments over the superhero movies and the timelines, and what's going to happen next. Like I mean, because those are the comics that I'm like heavily divulged in. Like I've got it's just those are the things that I absolutely enjoy. I absolutely will definitely, like, just anywho, I could dive into that. I'm so heavily into superhero movies and my conspiracy theories. And the same thing with like Batman, like the whole thing with what's his name, Robert Patterson, Edward Cullen. Um, But anywho, I'm like taking time out of your hands, but
Yeah.
excuse my interruptions,
No,
but go
no,
ahead, man.
it's fine. But my point was in comparing the two, just the most stark difference is just James Gunn is a master at characterization, and I can acknowledge it now. I mean, look at the cast of the Suicide Squad, and it's just the little touch that I think is incredible. As you look at all these characters, at the end of the day, this is a squad, makeshift family of people yearning for family, you know, true family. I mean, Polka Dot Man was estranged from his mom. Uh, Rat, it's been a while since I saw it, but Ratcatcher the second,
Oh,
she misses her dad. Harley Quinn wants a husband. Idris Elba's daughter doesn't care about him anymore. I'm sure there are other examples. Those are, the few that I remember off the top of my head. But those are so like clean cut, and like I remember. That's what I remember. That's really not that like visible in the first movie. Like I think someone put it best, years ago was someone said I like all these characters, but not in this movie. And I feel like, yeah, like I don't remember. I remember Killer Croc, but I don't remember like really his not his purpose of being there, but I can't remember his character. I can't remember the development he went through. Him or I think Katana was her name. She said nothing. She just had the soul-stealing katana, and that's cool. But where's the meaning of it all? That's
well,
always
the
my
meaning
issue
behind
with those
Katana,
many issues. But go ahead.
yeah, the meaning behind Katana though was that she didn't play a significant role. I think they just wanted to introduce her because she is a part of the Suicide Squad. That's just who she is. Granted, I think that she should have been left out. To be fair, I will agree with you on that. She didn't play a significant role, but I think that Hollywood just needed so-called like a buffer character to kind of fill in that space, and she was in the Suicide Squad, if memory serves me correctly. But I think her purpose for the original Suicide Squad was basically to be a buffer, but she did play in like wanting, because in that whole movie it was like, like you just said, Harley Quinn wanted a husband, and she really wanted Joker to be her husband. But Katana just really wanted her revenge for her husband. She wanted her husband back. She wanted to have those dumb people who killed her husband to feel the same pain she felt. But it also shows like in the movie that she also feels remorse, but by like talking to the sword, which to me, you know I thought that was a bit weird. Like, she pulls out the sword. She's like, I'm gonna talk to my husband this way because I feel like this is, but she did want her husband back. Like, they all wanted something. Like, um, Deathstroke, or Deadshot, he wanted his daughter. Like, I think you said it, and I think you touched on it. He's like, he wanted his daughter back in his life, and like at least to have rights to see her, because I mean he's a dad like any other dad. He wants their kid to have a good education, to get into the best school that they can get into. But and then with the other guy, Diablo, I mean he didn't want he just anywho they all had their wants and needs, and they didn't get it. I think the thing that I liked most about is that they touched on all their trauma, especially Diablo, because they were just so confused on like why he wasn't helping out in the movie. And his thing was just like, no, I like killed my family. I got pissed off to the point where I like burned my family. And like and then Harley Quinn's just like, you need to own it. Like, yeah, you screwed up, but you need to own it. And I think that's just, I thought that was super powerful, because like I'm pretty sure anyone nowadays has some form of trauma in their lives that just has impacted them, or they have something. Like for me, it's my diabetes, like that. I have to own that. Like you know it's caused a lot of trauma in my life. But as anyone with type 1 or type 2 diabetes, it causes a lot of distress. But, you know, it felt very empowering to me because it was just like, you need to own it and just move on. Like, it's not going to leave you, like, anyway. Those are my thoughts on it, and especially with wrapping it with Katana. I think it's just owning the fact, like, that they wanted something and that they got this glimpse of, like, oh, I could potentially get this with Enchantress. Even though Enchantress just wanted to kind of build an army and was just like, no, I'm going to do my thing.
I remember everyone was excited for the movie. I was in high school at the time, and trailers I thought looked good, but there's
Oh,
always
I didn't think the trailers looked good at all. Like, I thought they looked interesting, but, you know, once I saw, I mean, I'm going to be real. This isn't my favorite movie, but I do like the fact on how they did pretty well storyline wise with the original Suicide Squad. Like I said in the beginning, or near the beginning, I think that this movie needed some changes, especially with the villains in this, or the villain with this, but, you know, the trailers did not look appealing to me at all. Like, like my stepdad was the one who like convinced me to watch it with him, and we watched it as like a family movie night with like him, me, and my brother and sister. Um, but yeah, no, I mean the trailers just were not that intriguing to me.
well, the whole idea of the Suicide Squad, basically something that the new movie does right is, you know, they have to take a Black Ops kind of mission that Superman or, you know, Wonder Woman or whatever can't take on. You know, and this new one's plot, you know, they have to um, basically go into an island, basically DC version of Cuba,
Mhm.
take down some secret American data. I don't want to spoil it. It's not data, but they had like an undercover plot, and they didn't want the fake Cuban government to find out. So they sent this task force out to like, no, get rid of it, be secret, get rid of it, you know, get out. Um, and yeah, I just remember watching the trailer and thinking like, actually, this looks great, but of the original. Watching the trailers, everyone was enamored, and I was like, these look great, but who's the villain? And the villain shows up, and it's like, this isn't really something like Suicide Squad esque. I mean, like, why, you know, people were bringing up, like, I get it in the continuity, like, Superman was dead. But, you know, why couldn't Wonder Woman save the day? Why couldn't, like, you know, just like anyone, you know? I felt because they weren't really like here, they weren't really like villains. Like here, they're actually doing in the new one, they're doing something like actually illegal, covering up like you know um, misdeeds the government did, and I think like Batman would never sign on, or Superman would never sign on to that. But I think that's just another strength is um, James Gunn really understanding the franchise, and I think especially it marks just like a shift at DC where um, they thought they could make something really, really edgy, something really punk rock, and you can look it up. I mean, like there's so much studio mandated stuff, studio intervention. You compare it to this new one where they basically gave James the keys to the kingdom, and they're like, "Hey, go wild, make it R rated, make it weird as you want.
I
Um,
mean, the
go
rating
on
was definitely.
in the movie you want, just go wild with it." And I think artistically, they made such an improvement over the first one, which was very. It's just too soapy. It's just too sanitized, clean, PG-13, marketable. I mean, this was all over Hot Topic and Barnes and Noble back in the day, but.
I mean, it technically still is. I mean, shoot, I shop at Hot Topic and Spencer's for their nose piercings, and I mean, it's still prevalent. Like there is a full-on section, at least the one in my, my area, where there is a section dedicated to Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad, and there's one dedicated to Harley Quinn, the cartoon, which is who I will be dressing up as for Halloween, as a side note, for my next cosplay, besides this, one anime that I'm working on. But um but I mean, I don't know. I feel like the rating for this movie was very well justified. Um, but like I said, I think the only thing that was going for the, or I haven't said it, but like, I think the only thing that was going for this movie was the fact that these fighting scenes were as authentic as possible. Like the fact that Margot Robbie, like in the elevator scene, like that's all her. There's no stunt double. There's nothing like there to help her out. Like that's her like beating the crap out of that little monster.
That's her second one.
Huh?
The first or second one?
The first one. Where she's going up the elevator and everything wants to talk to me on my laptop tonight. Cool. But I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where, that's the only thing that like I think is really cool about both of the Suicide Squad is that most of these people who played these characters did their own stunts. The only thing I can absolutely say that I did not like about the second one is how dumb they made King Shark. King Shark is an intelligent man. Like he was supposedly this like demigod, and then he wasn't supposed to eat meat, but then he eats. Why is that exploded? Oh, cool. Sorry, my like roommate just showed me that my suitcase had exploded because I just got home today from being with my family and boyfriend and stuff like. Ew, okay. But anywho, I mean, I did not like the fact that they made King Shark stupid, because if you watch the cartoon, I mean, granted, he's the satirical character who brings the comedy, besides the little mind reading, you know, sexist midget man. But and then like you have the dramatic guy, Clayman. But it's just in the movie, King Shark is not dumb. Like, yes, he's a shark that and he's like part man, part shark, but he is no dumb man. That's the only thing so far from what I've seen that they could do better in that movie. In the second one.
Different interpretation, but
Oh, definitely. There's so many interpretations that can go from this. However, that is my opinion of what I think it is. And many of these listeners are probably going to look at this and be like, well, I disagree. And that's fine. You disagree, go ahead. I will listen to your argument all you want. But, because we're all entitled to our own opinion, our own thoughts, our own, feelings. And I'm not going to deter you on what you feel, but I'm going to tell you how I feel, though. I believe that, King Shark should have been written a little more intelligent, instead of, him saying like hand, or, I just want friends. Like, he's just, I don't know. I know he was probably there for like comedic relief and stuff like that, and I get that, but he's a demigod. Okay, why is
a point I like that I sort of forgot about. After all these years, it shocks me that the movie came out. The first one came out 5 years ago, but
yeah, it came out right when I graduated high school.
I do remember this news. Suicide Squad, the original. It made a lot of money. I'll give it that. Like, it did make bank, but I think like critically and the reviews from audiences just kind of deterred DC, because you look at all the projects they're making spin off from this, and it's Gotham City Sirens that was canceled. They're going to make a solo film for Deadshot, who was Will Smith's character.
Yeah.
A Harley Quinn solo movie that would taking place right after. And
That
Untitled
was Birds
Chapter.
of Prey. That Harley Quinn movie was Birds of Prey, and
No, that
that
was,
one,
this was gonna be a separate thing though. This
oh,
is
it is.
Yeah, it was gonna be only her. An Untitled Joker movie, which I it would have been Jared Leto. It wouldn't have been Joaquin Phoenix, which
Could I make a little remark about the Jared Leto like Joker in this whole movie thing?
sure.
I love Jared Leto. I think he is a very talented musician. However, he does the same thing Jacqueline Phoenix and Heath Ledger did, which is method acting, which he got seriously deep into the mud into that character. And I think, and even Jared Leto, he's like, yeah, after I was done filming that, it like took a toll on me. And I was like, well, yeah, you're being a psychotic little maniac who murders for fun, basically. But um, but I really did not enjoy Jared Leto's Joker, and I defended him for so long. But after watching the movie, the first one, a couple of weeks ago, and just seeing it, I'm like, wow, um, he's not as good as I kind of amped him up to be. But I think the best Joker has had, I mean, and will always be hands down Heath Ledger and then Mark Hamill from the animated series. Um, but Jared went creepy into that character.
I'm gonna like take the good with the bad here. On one hand, I mean, I can kind of appreciate a new take on the Joker. Like this guy was like a mob boss kind of dude. He had jokes, uh, kind of, not really though. But it was a different interpretation, and that's cool. I mean, they don't always have to, you know, be the joking clown kind of guy. But on the other hand, I mean, he's got damaged tattooed across his forehead. I think anyone looking at that, like, I could not take that seriously. I don't think anyone else can. I mean, that character is just like a meme, like this.
Oh, he's definitely a meme. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
And Jared, like, I don't know if you knew about this, but he like had all kinds of antics on set. Like,
Oh yeah, he sent condoms to like I think it was either used or like it was used at one point because Margot even confirmed it. He's like he sent bullet casings or bullets and like I mean he like I said he was from what I've heard and read about or have seen in interviews and stuff like that. Jared Leto went so deep down the rabbit hole, like I shouldn't say worse than Phoenix or Ledger, but he went further than them. Like he went, I mean, he went so far down the rabbit hole, which is saying something on how well, I mean, on how I think he did it well on his method acting on getting into the character. Like I get that. Like if I was an actress, I probably would attempt something similar to it. However, it's just he did some pretty messed up stuff. Like I did not feel comfortable. I remember being on Snapchat, and when they had the Snapchat stories, that was one of the things that I first saw was him, sending, dead rats to his coworkers, and his coworkers being like, I do not feel safe being on set.
that's that's like the only thing I remember was him basically who would mail like dead rats to the set. I just I don't know. I really wish like there was footage of people being like they'll open a package. Like I could just imagine like UPS guy walking in on the set and he's like delivery. They're like, oh boy, what do we get? And Jared just in the background like laughing. And then they open it up. It's like a decaying like hamster or something. And they
Dude,
all
I
go
mean,
like,
imagine the
Jared.
smell.
They all go like Jared, and then you just canned laughter.
It's like the old like 70s like, oh come on man, like hand on like fist on like oh gosh, the hip, and it's just like, now Jared, that's wrong.
Yeah. Oh, Jared, you scamp.
Yeah, like it's just, I mean, like I don't know, like I don't know, man, like that, like hearing those things is just like the things that actors go through to get that award. Like there's so many actors, like I mean, for instance, Leonardo Dicaprio. I mean, he's a phenomenal actor, and he doesn't do In Method that I know of, unless I'm wrong, and I will say I'm wrong, but um I don't know, man, like it's just the depths that he is going into to fit this character. Like I love Jacqueline Phoenix's Joker because it really showed his like the how mental illness really does affect someone, and how society kind of really kind of puts a negative hit on it, and like it's not needed. And then you look at Jared's just like, no, I see why we it mental illness is looking a little dark. And
Well,
so it's just his I really kind of hope they don't do a Joker solo movie with Jared Leto. I'm really hoping it's with Phoenix, or someone with more acting credibility, because I don't think Jared Leto has a whole, because he just signed a contract and is about to be Morpheus, the vampire dude in the Marvel series. And I'm just kind of sitting here thinking like, I really hope you do a good job, my man. I just don't be weird on set. Yeah, method acting is scary, and I think I would attempt it if I was an actress. However, I don't think I would have the heart in me to send someone a dead rat or hamster to someone. I think that's a little crossing the line a little bit.
you know how much coke DiCaprio had to snort to be the Wolf of Wall Street?
Oh Lord. I'm gonna assume like bags and bags and bags full of it.
Um, I don't know if you like have kept up with this, but obviously there's like, we know about the Snyder Cut and everything, but the director of the original Suicide Squad, David Ayers, really wants like fans to rally for the David Ayers cut. Um, and I don't know about that, Chief, because I just feel like that the movie was too studio mandated to be like anything better than it was. You know what I mean? I just feel like even if you got like the original director's vision, like I don't know, man. Like I don't need to watch more like Jared Leto Joker. And I heard they took out a lot of his role, but at the same time, like you look at who came before him, with Ledger, and who came after with Joaquin Phoenix, and it's like, sure Jared Leto. Actually, I did see him in uh movie he won an Academy Award for. That was a pretty good performance on his part, but really, it's just like Joaquin and Heath just knocked it out of the park. And yes, this, I don't know. I mean, you like it, that's cool, man. I'm not trying to like convince you otherwise, but
Oh no,
well,
I'm like I'm just really in depth into your opinion, and like I'm listening to it, and trying to understand it by processing it, cuz and you're not like deterring me or anything, or like, you know, it's just I'm just listening and like hearing your thoughts.
I know this one maniac who I don't know how much he liked the movie, but I do remember we were just talking about movie jokers, and this maniac told me with like a straight face, completely honest, like Jared Leto is a better Joker than like Heath Ledger. I was like, I
Wait,
didn't,
someone hold on. Someone said Leto is better than Ledger.
yeah, yeah, and he was like completely serious. I was like, I just like, I think we were gaming or something. I just like paused. It's like, what are you on, man? Like, what do you mean? Are you high?
I would have been like, bro, we're gonna have a heart to heart, and we're just gonna change that. Because that opinion is I don't like demeaning anybody's opinion, but that one is just like, no, you are 100% in the wrong, and I think a lot of people will agree with that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like, bro, who hurt you?
like, right? It's just like, okay, you obviously need some milk to fix that. You need some help. Um, but yeah.
Wow. I think every Joker going forward should have a damaged tattoo on their forehead.
Oh, 100%.
I do like how people from the OG movie came back for the sequel. That was kind of cool.
I
Uh,
did like that. Well, I mean, what's his name? Um,
Rick Flag or Captain Boomerang or whatever.
I thought his head got blown up.
Boomerang
Yeah,
and the second one or the first one?
the first one.
No, that was there's a guy named like Slipknot because I looked that up.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yep. But no, returning characters like Margot Robbie and then Joel Kinnaman, the guy who plays Rick Flag, the soldier dude. Um, I really liked his character because I mean, truly and honestly, out of all the people besides Harley Quinn, Will Smith from the original and oh goodness, and then him were like my favorites. Like they brought in enough, funny, haha, and just all this other stuff to make it better.
That's something I like about the second one is just I don't mean to keep going back to it, but it's amazing just because like the first one, they show you like some dumb character like this guy's Slipknot, he can climb any wall, and he immediately dies and no one cares. I
Mhm.
had to look up his name, Slipknot. Like, okay, but then this new one, they're like, yeah, we're gonna have a polka dot man. He shoots polka dots out of his hands, and you're gonna love him. And like, that's one of the big characters I remember. I'm like, it just has everything to do with characterization. Like, I think Slipknot and Polka Dot Man really symbolize their respective films because, like, with the first one, like to me at least, and for a lot of people, it just kind of like happened. It just came and went, and you're like, oh, I mean, that okay. Like, I don't remember anything from it. I remember people being like, oh, this movie sucks and everything, but the second one, I mean, Polka Dot Man, like, I was a little hesitant. I figured it'd probably be pretty good, but you have just this weird, um, kind of, I won't say avant-garde, but it's an action movie, but it takes so much pride in just how different it is, and just like Polka Dot Man, just like his character. I mean, it's a brutal film for like not just a DC action movie, but like one in general. Like, you know, the action is definitely one of the biggest step ups from the first one. But yeah, I think it is pretty neat to have you on because I think most people just kind of dislike it, but I do think it's kind of interesting how like I didn't even know you liked the original.
Oh, I love the original.
Yeah,
I'm
you never
also
do that.
well, I mean, I mean, this is the only like besides Wonder Woman, originals in the DC movie area are I do enjoy those, except for the ones like Christian Bale when he did, the series, the Batman series. I really enjoyed that whole thing. Like I felt like, from the first to the third one, it just kept building up, and it was just this, like the momentum was just growing. While with this one, I, it's like the momentum went up, and then when I finally see the movie, I feel like it's just gonna stay at this plateau where it's like, okay, that's nice, but like, I mean, the villain is a gigantic starfish that uses mind control. Like, I feel like the villain is it shouldn't have been this gigantic starfish. Like,
Like what it represents, you know?
and like I said, I can't really put, too much thought into it because I haven't seen it and I need to see it in order to give a better opinion of it. And um which I plan on doing this weekend. Like, I'm going to a babysitting thing, and the mom's like, "Hey," and I've known this mom for like forever, but she's like, "Hey, what do you want any movies for us to get you?" And that's one of the ones I asked, and she hasn't. And it's waiting for me for Saturday. So this Saturday, I will be watching it.
I'll say it's probably not great viewing with like the whole family, but you know, like it's your
Well,
call.
the kids will be asleep. I mean, I'm gonna be there until the crack of dawn anyway. Like, I love this mom, but and she's like a nerd like me. We'll sit down and talk about anime for hours, and I could talk to anyone about any anime for hours, at least the ones that I've seen, or give my opinions on, like, the Studio Ghibli movies, like those. I think, especially for when each of them have been created, I could really go into it. But we're talking about Suicide Squad here, and I'm just gonna continue on with that. But I think originals are most originals are really good versus, some sequels. And there are some sequels and prequels and whatever, the correct word is, that do give that momentum. But like I said, I can't really say a whole lot because I need to see the second one before I can say, like, okay, that the momentum is still growing, or my momentum is just like at a halt where I'm like, nah, I'm good, man.
Yeah, I mean, you should totally see it because like it is kind of hard to have like I don't know discussion if you haven't seen it. That's like fine that you haven't. You know, I think I think if you see this new one, you might agree, and that would make the discussion a little less interesting, um, or at least agree with some of my points. But I don't know, like I'm glad DC's not doing like this whole Marvel thing where like everything's connected. You know, I love their one-offs like Joker. I love how they can just be rated R, you know, and just
Well, the
have
thing with,
more
like,
freedom for their directors because like you know if you watch so many Marvel movies, how many really stand out to you, and then DC,
well,
they
that's the
have,
thing. Well, hold on. If we're gonna be talking about Marvel versus DC, I mean, Marvel blows DC out of the water. Not saying that I have a favorite. I really, truly don't have a favorite between Marvel and DC. My whole thing is, like, if the movie and the comics are closely related, that to me, that's just what makes the movie good. But the thing about Marvel though is that, from the beginning with, the Russo brothers and like all these directors who have created Marvel, they in the beginning they've always said, like, yeah, we want to create, this storyline for like generations and generations to come, so that when they do go through these movies, like, it's a storyline and it keeps you intrigued. While as DC, though I do love their shows and, their movies, however, their movies aren't in a storyline, and I am all about storylines. I'm all about character development, and, I'm getting a degree in teaching English to future generations, but that might change if something doesn't go right. But, I'm a writer, and I love to write, and I love to, to see that character development and that plot and just all this other stuff, it's super important. And with Marvel, they do that perfectly, while DC, it's just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna make this movie. And to be fair, between the two, DC hasn't really made a whole lot of movies or a whole lot of TV shows that, have been like, as hyped up as Marvel. I think the only ones that come to mind with, like, that have popped out, in the DC world is, Wonder Woman and, oh shoot, and Christian Bale's and Heath Ledger's Batman and, Joker. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Jacqueline Phoenix has his little thing because I mean has been great, but like I mean if they do a second one of that, I mean I'm hoping it's going from the point where like he kills oh shoot Bruce Wayne's family and like goes from there and like how that develops from his point of view. Um, but I mean Marvel just shoots them out of the water because they do so well with the plot, the character development, and following the Stan Lee's stories, and not just Stan Lee, but like anybody who has made a comic with Marvel characters in it.
Instead of play devil's advocate here, like, there's nothing wrong with like most Marvel movies. I just feel like if you watch, Doctor Strange, like, how many people would be like, oh yeah, that was a Scott Derrickson auteur film. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, that movie in itself, like I mean, don't get me wrong, I was excited about Doctor Strange. However, I listen, if you get me talking about any Marvel movie, I could tell you, I mean, I love them, like, but there are a few Marvel movies that I will say that needed to be better, and Doctor Strange was one of them. Doctor Strange and Black Widow could have been so much better. The only thing with Black Widow, though, as a side note, is that it was being made during a pandemic, and I get why things had to be rushed and finished at certain deadlines. However, if they can move back any of these Marvel movies, like pushing back and back and back and back, they should have done that with Black Widow instead of having to quickly wrap it up and how it ended and just it's the same with like some of the shows that they've come up with like anyway, I could really get into that, but we're on Suicide Squad and I have to remind myself that is what we're talking about because I literally can just chew anybody's ear off about Marvel and I would so love to do that.
well, Strange is actually like one of my favorites. I
Oh,
think.
I love him. I just think the movie could have been made better.
Well, no. I think the movie, like characters, like yeah, it's fine, but the movie, like I really enjoy it. But I feel like my point is it's a Marvel movie. It's not a director's film. Is the point I'm trying to make here? Like,
So you're more talking about like the director's cut kind of thing, like what they did with Justice League.
not even really that. Although that's a pretty okay point. That it's interesting to me, just DC's attitude from 2016 when the Suicide Squad came out to 2021 when this new one came out. Just like, just a shifting attitude because, like, you're right. I mean, like, Dark Knight really hyped up, and of course it was a sequel to Batman Begins, but it's just its own thing, and that's a Christopher Nolan film. Just, it's in its DNA, and that's something that's great about it. But you see DC now, they'd never make a Dark Knight, 5 years ago because it'd have to tie into Wonder Woman, and it would have to tie into, um, this crappy little Marvel knockoff setup they've got going on. But now they can just say like, okay, screw it. You want to be rated R, like forget the market testing, forget the obviously the market test and focus test everything, but they're really just allowing the creators to make their own thing, like Suicide Squad. You can see the Suicide Squad. You can just see um, James Gunn's DNA throughout the film. They just said, make it R. Joker. They're like, hey, make it R rated. Just make what you want to make, and the audiences will come. And they did, because that movie, first R-rated movie to make $1 billion, and it made ridiculous bank. You know what I mean? Like, Birds of Prey wasn't. I didn't care for it, but that was a risky kind of move on their part, and um, whether they really made a great return on their investment, well, that's up for debate. But that's reaching a niche audience and taking a risk, and that's why I can really appreciate DC now, at least, over Marvel's, because like so many of the movies, like Black Widow. I mean, who directed it? I don't know. Could you say anything like really truly like special about it. Like what really sets it apart from every other Marvel movie, and what really sets any Marvel movie apart from the other, other than like this one has this kind of CGI, this one has this like fighting style, and at the end of the day, it's like whatever, man. I'll just watch Joker and watch this like gritty, like realistic kind of look at serious issues that a lot of people are facing now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can agree to some of that.
That's just my take. I mean, of course they're gonna have like their bungles. Like I thought Wonder Woman like '84, that was kind of sliding back into all that. What they were doing before, uh, their whole Batman v Superman or OG Suicide Squad kind of era, and that was
Yeah.
a step back. I like the original Wonder Woman, um, but I mean they're just like on the they're on the upswing right now, man. Like with this, and especially Joker, and um, I'm looking forward to the Batman. That'll be pretty nice. And I didn't see Snyder Cut, but that too, R-rated, auteur-driven film.
I would recommend seeing the Schneider Cup because, or the Schneider Cup, the Schneider's Cut, because that was one that I didn't enjoy. It wasn't my favorite, and don't my brother and stepdad and I watched it together, and we had our own critiques. Like I promise you, we're very much a geek oriented family. However, I'm the black sheep of the family. And I dabble in like legit everything. While my other parts of my family is just like, okay, Sarah, that's nice. And then I'm like, yeet. Anyway. I go yeet. I'm a yeet person. I definitely gonna do my own thing. But anyway, um, but yeah, I mean, I would recommend it just because the the director's cut was very interesting and I really enjoyed it. Um, to kind of see him in an unfiltered kind of look through his direction in his director's cut. I just really appreciate seeing it. So I agree with you on DC doing more director's cuts and keeping it R, but Marvel does do that sometimes. Um, I mean, look at Deadpool. There's a director's cut of Deadpool. And let me just say this right here, right now. If there is ever an audition for Lady Deadpool, I promise you I will be first in line and own it. Like, screw Bella Thorne for wanting to do that. Like, no, that's not happening. I am working on a Lady Deadpool cosplay and just, oh, man, so excited for it.
Yeah, you do make a good point. Deadpool 3 will be rated R. To be fair,
Well,
one.
there is a rated R. Like Deadpool is rated R. The only one that's not, like, the first one is rated R, and then they have like the Family Sucks one, the second one, um, and that one's rated PG-13. But there is a director's cut version of it with it being rated R.
Well, no, that was the original cut. So that was made by Fox, and they did all the X-Men stuff. So that's separate from the MCU.
Hmm.
But Fox did Deadpool 1 and 2, and then that was 2018, and around that time, Disney was in the process of buying Fox, and then I believe it was September of 19, they went through with it. It was like a $70 billion deal, but Disney actually um, released Once Upon a Deadpool, which was a PG-13 cut. That was really just to test the waters for like, oh, people like a PG-13 Deadpool, and people like absolutely not. But that is a thing. I mean, like Deadpool 1 and 2, and especially Logan, were like R-rated, huge risks, and all three paid off hugely. And um, at the end of the day, this is really just Disney micromanaging just so much and protecting a brand image, which is fine. But when it comes in the way of their art, I think that it suffers.
Yeah, no, I can agree to that.
But well, we're gonna make our way to segment two in a bit here. So, is there any last closing comments?
Nope, I don't have anything. I just want to say to the listeners that I hope you enjoyed my my opinions and my comments, and that I really hope I, didn't offend anyone. And if I did, I'm sorry. Like I said, these are our own thoughts and opinions, but I don't mean to cause a ripple in the effect of things.
No, you're good. I'm glad you could make it on. Not just because I'm glad every guest can make it on, but you gave an interesting perspective, a fresh perspective at that. Because not many people just say like, oh yeah, man, I loved Suicide Squad, man, I loved like all this stuff, and um, that's cool. I mean, like that's interesting because I think if I brought any guest on and we're like, hey, we're talking about Suicide Squad, they would just be like, yeah, was this stupid? But it is cool having like a genuine fan of it come on and just like defend their perspective, and I think that's really neat. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, thank you for having me on here for for firstly, for yeah, for starters, but also, I mean, like, listen, I'm sure the people that say like, oh, it was stupid and all that, they secretly do and did enjoy it. Like, let's be real, let's be real. I'm pretty sure that they enjoyed it. They just don't want to admit it. Or at least some portion of it that they enjoyed. But, I will agree to the haters that are probably going to listen to this and be like, "Oh no, I did not enjoy that." I can see why. I can see why you wouldn't have enjoyed it, but listen, like I keep saying, everybody is entitled to their own thoughts, prayers, opinions, whatever. But, I love it. I will defend it with my honor, like Mulan, and, do my own thing. But listen, if you want original opinions, you should hear my original opinion on Demon Slayer and the whole. I just finished that whole new season, and that's a fun anime.
Plenty of my viewers are big anime fans,
Oh,
especially
I could really give you a list of all my animes that I've seen, and
the
I
three
could
best.
really say
Sorry,
what?
sorry, go ahead.
I could really like give all my like opinion, like that's like a whole segment in itself. Like like each anime would be its own segment, because I have so many thoughts, and just I have so many thoughts and so many like not critiques, but I just I have love relationships with some of them, and then I have hate relationships with a bunch of them. Like for instance, with any anime fan, they will know this, but Oron High School Host Club season the end of season 1, just and I just like that. Oh man, I could talk on that because we've been promised a season 2, and if you look at Funimation and you look up that anime and you see it, you see that it says 2 seasons. We've been promised 2 seasons for about a decade now, and we have yet to see it. But that was the same thing with The Incredibles and like so many other good movies. But anywho, I could chew your ear off about that. But those are my ending comments. But to end it with, thank you for letting me on here, and I'm hoping to. If you ever need me to come back, I'll be glad to come back and chew your ear off about stuff.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, um, my last three guests in last week's episode were big anime fans, and we didn't really talk about it. Although I know the guys and I know them well, so that is a pretty good idea for a segment. If maybe the film news is kind of slow, I'll just be like, well, you guys can talk about anime. I don't really watch it too much. Just kind of the old stuff like Cowboy Bebop. Um,
Oh man, the OG.
yeah, I haven't seen too much like of anything of that nature lately. But yeah, thanks for coming on, and yeah, we'll make our way to the next segment. See you there. And for the next segment of the Rock Shop podcast, we're taking a trip over to the comics section. We have a new customer in today. So what's up?
Hi, my name is Christine Hapilano, and my pronouns are she and they. I am the creator of Leap. It's known as Leap the comic on Instagram, but the comic itself is named Leap Leaders of Educated AAPI, Asian Pacific Islander Peoples. And it is about a group of college students that participate in an Asian org. It was inspired by my experiences being an Asian American in the South, and then coming into college, I experienced what it was like being in an Asian community, despite it being at a smaller percentage in FSU compared to like UCF, UF, USF. And I've gained a lot of my experiences being involved in that community, and I implemented it in Leap.
Yeah, that's cool. I know that you've been, working on your comic for a while now. Let me see how many followers you have right now.
Don't verbalize it, please.
No, I'm checking it out. I'm checking it out. You've been. It's gonna go higher after this, appearance on the podcast, bro. That's for sure.
Yeah, I have been taking slight breaks of the comic just because I did not want to produce too much content. It loses its spark. I'm trying to focus on quality over quantity with the content that I produce. And so far, I'd say after the hiatus that I took this year, the content has improved.
I have to say though, like, you do have like kind of a goal in your bio and like follower counts, and you did reach it. Like, you got a pretty nice size thing for like an indie little comic strip. So good for you.
Thanks. Yeah. So actually, when I was doing my comic, my main audience was actually people in my Asian or people who knew people of the Asian community. And and in the Asian community in Florida, we're very networky. So a lot of people who knows people in UF also know people in UCF or FIU, FAU, USF, and the networking is going to be a lot bigger in numbers, knowing that we're also including private schools under our belt, such as Stetson University and that one college in Lakeland, Florida. I can't. I think it's Florida Southern. Yeah, Florida Southern.
Well, I'm not from Florida, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I was like born here. I was born in the same hospital my mom works in, so
I'll get my fact checkers to, after a podcast, be like, that's not Florida Southern.
yeah, not Florida Southern. No, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a private school, but anyways, yeah, I wanted to cater to the Asian community of not just only Florida, but also Georgia, all over the state, all over the country. But surprisingly, I've also catered to people coming from non-Asian backgrounds. And what and I believe it's because of the humor and appeal that Leap sort of caters at. Um, I know that Leap was inspired by like regular show, a lot of Western animation. The drawings itself sort of had that anime vibe, but it's mainly Western animation that I grew up in. I grew up watching. So I guess it sort of caters to an American audience, if that makes sense. American, Canadian, Anglosphere. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you gotta have your, influences all over. I mean, you look at some like, even Cowboy Bebop or
Mm-hmm.
Attack on Titan. I love the fact, I never really watched the show, but the creator of the series or whatever, he actually came out and said one of the main characters is um, pretty much just like ripping off the character Rorschach from Watchmen. Think of
Ooh.
Levi or something like that. That's
Mhm.
such, I don't know, that's such like an interesting choice, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, it really just shows you did influence anywhere. I mean, you look at like Cowboy Bebop, and I brought that up already, but even that has so many Western inspiration and influences from you know type of media that gets made over here, and it's really such a cool show, to see that mesh. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I was curious. I was always kind of like wondering about this. Is why a comic strip? Why not like dedicate a comic book or
A comic strip? Yeah. So I thought of doing a comic book, but it felt that doing comic strips would cater to more consistency. There's more appeal with doing comic strips because I can express more artistry and storytelling in one go. I don't want to really plot things ahead or make like a huge plot. Oh, this happened, that happened, and then the end. No, I kind of just make a random scenario and I let the characters act on it.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool because like you don't really see that too much. I mean, I think when most people think of a comic strip, they'll think like Peanuts or Calvin and Hobbes or something. These are like these have been over for like decades at this point. I think it's really cool, and I guess now that I'm thinking about it, like what was it like Pop Team Epic? That was a comic
Yeah,
strip,
Pop Team
right?
Emic, there was just like a lot of gags and shit.
Yeah. So it's like very underrated. I feel that whole medium of like doing things. It's like yeah, you could just make a snappy joke like that.
Hmm.
You could just keep making the strip forever, like week after week. That's pretty.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of things to include with a comic strip. So initially, I actually made Leap the Comic to satirize this one Facebook group I'm a part of, Subtle Asian Traits. And I decided to like take random things that Subtle Asian Traits probably get crazy over, such as the release of Shang-Chi. Um, I can't think of anything else right now, but I remember I did my research and I was trying to see the consistent tropes that occur in these Facebook groups. I mean, I graduated with statistics, so it's like I wanted to see like different trends, what occurred, and I just implemented in my comic strip. For example, the six main characters. One is a Filipina immigrant who obviously studies nursing, and she obviously is the character that I relate to the most because I literally put a lot of my experience being Filipino with that character. And I was also part of like the Filipino club in FSU. And then the other guy, basically the Kevin Wen Chad, Chad frat boy of the group. I'd say that he is the lovable idiot jerk type. Um, and then the there's a secretary. She is Indian, and I know most she's probably like the straight man of the group, along with um, another character who comes from a multiracial background, a Japanese Brazilian background. He also plays as the straight man, but I'd say the Indian girl is like the tsundere, someone who's just like super mean and cold, but very sweet. Unless this one character, he's the president, but comes from a Russian background, claims that he can lead an Asian org with having Russia or having his Russian ethnicity as his background. But like in the comic strips, you'll see more of his background. It's not necessarily European Russian, but he has some indigenous like, Russian blood in his heritage. And the last one, she's a adoptee from China, and I'd say she's kind of I'm gonna go on horoscopes here. She's a Gemini. I can just tell you that she's a Gemini, kind of like happy, peppy, has like that saleswoman, not saleswoman, no, she has like that business girl, public business girl persona.
She's a girl boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Indian girl is a more of a powerful girl boss CEO energy, but this girl, I'd say she gives off the energy of like a saleswoman, like a powerful saleswoman, like an interviewer, like you.
Yeah, sure.
I'm so sorry. I'm like getting all flustered and I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I know my characters. It's just I have a hard time verbalizing this.
She DMs old high school friends or whatever pyramid scheme she's attached to this week.
Actually, when you think about it, not necessarily, but she'll like, she's very money savvy. She won't necessarily go on pyramid schemes, but she can have that persona. She can. I never made a strip regarding that, but thanks for the idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, like outside of the main six, there are other characters that I wanted to explore. One character who is who comes from a Korean background and and he's trans, and another character who has Pacific Islander blood, and she comes from California, and you remember the Japanese Brazilian straight man and her dynamic, right? Like he's kind of like the older brother for her, yeah?
Yeah, because I've read a bunch of the strip series.
Yeah, and I enjoyed writing their dynamic. I think they're like one of the best dynamic along with am I allowed to just say their names? I
Like
guess.
the
Yeah,
character
sure.
names?
So what's up?
Like you mean like the names of the characters?
Yeah, the names of the characters.
Yeah, as long as you like say which one's which so the audience is.
Okay, so the Filipino girl, her name is Mariana Isabel Soriano, but she just goes by Yana. The Vietnamese frat boy, his name is Vincent Lay. Um, and the president, his name's Greg Ivanov. The Indian girl, her name is Janya Singh. The multiracial Japanese Brazilian guy, his name is Ricardo Tanaka. And the Chinese adoptee, her name is Sophie Johnson.
It's a lot of like characters, but it is like smart thinking for like a comic strip because like you can get so much mileage out of that, and yes, you could just introduce as many characters as you want, but it's like varied enough where you could just keep churning these out for like little years every week. It's pretty neat. Where do you usually like get inspiration for your characters? Do you like model them after like characters or just like real people? Like
It's a mixture of both. So, um, for example, I, as I told you, I based a lot of these character traits from subtle Asian traits, but also like my personal experience through FSU. Like, for example, obviously Yana is based on my experiences. Um, I know Ricardo Tanaka is not he's not based on really anyone that is in FSU. He's actually more based on a friend. Like his personality traits is based on one of my friends. What
Yeah.
makes Leap work is that are they are thrown to different scenarios, but they still have their personalities intact. Better way for me to say it is they have their personality traits and the plot builds around them. It's like shows like Ed and Eddie and Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I know like whenever I write something,
Uh-huh.
um, at least with the last movie I did, which shameless self plug, it's at running the right race on Instagram. Even with that, like that has two like storylines going through, and the main duo and plot B is basically just Dante and Randall from the indie movie Clerks. By just kind of like
Mhm.
scratched Dante and Randall off, but just like the whole time, kind of just like thought like how would they kind of react in this scenario? Or like I'd read the dialogue and I kind of imagine like them saying it because well I've seen Clerks so many times, like I just know how these characters work, but it's interesting. I don't think I've ever like really written something that was like based off someone else. It's always just kind of like the creator of Attack on Titan. He's like, okay, I'm just gonna take Rorschach and drop him in this world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why in a way Leap works for me because when I was younger, I would make comics about my friends in like scenarios such as, oh, we're in a zombie apocalypse. Oh, we're like in a Harry Potter scenario, or one of my favorite ones. Oh, we were shipped to an island and now we have to survive and go on a plane we don't know how to navigate and travel the world. And oh, by the way, we're not even in elementary school yet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that. Like, I wrote just like cringy like Pokemon fan fiction when I was like, yeah, when I was like in grade school.
Um,
That's how I got like my start with like writing. I had all these like little comics to write, and it was just like Pokemon fan fiction. And the worst was like Captain Underpants fan fiction.
wait,
Like
what?
that was really cringe. Like you just fight my OCs. I still have them, and I recently moved a few months ago, and just like a half hour away, just kind of like downsizing. But no, I found all these cringy like old comic books I used to write, and just looking at them and just putting them next to like the scripts I've written now. It's like how far do you go, but also like wow, these awful things can never come out, or my writing career would be ruined. To be like,
Mm,
ew, he wrote these.
I mean, you gotta start somewhere.
That's
I think some of the comics that I used to make back in fifth grade are kind of like all over the place and kind of cringe. And I don't know why I made my first cat a furry fantasy. I don't even know why. Like I don't even know how I didn't get in trouble for that. But yeah, like I said, I believe that Leap is a better established webcomic because I've always had that creative edge in me, but knowing that I got inspiration that is a little bit more established, as in my experiences in college, being a daughter of immigrant parents, and learning about other people's culture, because literally Asia is the Asian diaspora is such a big community. There's a lot of different individuals and different cultures with it's just a wide variety of cultures
Yeah,
that
it's such a cool way that you find this. Um, it's kind of a um, what would be the right word?
Mhm.
It's kind of like a good. I couldn't like find one, but just a good way of like expressing yourself, and
Mhm.
um, you know,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
had something really profound like in my mind, and then it just came out like that was not profound at all. But you know what I mean. It's a
Yeah,
really
I know what
great
you
way
mean.
of expressing yourself and like just creating something like unique to you know.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way too. Like I can't verbalize a lot of the words in my brain, but that's why I love comic making because I can actually think of what they're gonna say and what they're gonna do.
What should you find like easier or harder, writing it or drawing it?
Um, well, I plan ideas ahead of time, but they're kind of scattered all over the place. So I just put them in my little notes. When I decide to make an entry, I just go through my notes and see, what topic should I put? Oh, I probably should talk about I should probably talk about how East Asia and Southeast Asia and South Asia are like they are sort of like in their bubbles. Oh my goodness, I worded it wrongly, but uh, something describe it's a topic describing the differences of East Asian countries and South Asian countries and Southeast Asian countries, but or how in or this is just coming from my experience, how in Asian groups, of course, I'm not going to speak for the whole majority. It's usually East Asian and Southeast Asian individuals stick around with each other and they're like chilling, while the South Asian group, they're kind of in their bubble. And then there's like the West Asian group who will not necessarily, they're also in their bubble too. So it was like a little commentary on that. And I remember how I was just, oh, that's a main point that I also wanted to talk about is like how in mainstream media, Western American mainstream media, it centers more on East Asians than like Southeast Asian or South Asian. Like for example, Crazy Rich Asians, it it highlights Singapore, but it was mostly like the East Asian influences in Singapore, and it never showcased any South Asian culture whatsoever. But I am sorry, I'm going off of topic, but that's just like the main thing with Leap. There's like a lot of issues and topics of the Asian diaspora that I wanted to explore, but I wanted to do it in a perspective of Asian college students who are still trying to figure out what the hell they want to do with their lives in college. Wait, I think I said that already.
Yeah, I mean, like, there is like truth in that. Like, you don't really like if you see like I don't know a movie where the characters go to Asia. Usually, it's just like China or Japan or like South Korea. But there is like Guam and there's like Philippines and like
Mhm.
now the big thing is like you're like well if you're gonna watch a movie from Asia like like it used to, people would just watch like, be like, oh, I used to watch this Japanese movie. And now, with things like Squid Game, Korean media has been just having uh, more of a showcase nowadays
Yeah.
in public eye. But I mean, there are like obviously there are like film industries in like the Philippines and
There are.
in
Mhm.
Indonesia. What was that one show that was like? Wasn't the Nut Shack from like the
Yeah,
50s?
okay. So the thing with the nutcheck, I treated it as my adult swim. So my parents, we used to own um this direct TV bundle with Filipino channels, and one of them was Mixed TV. I would binge watch Mixed TV. That's how I got exposure to J-pop, K-pop. There was also mainstream music, but it was mainly it was kind of like a California Asian channel that we got, not the Mixed TV from the Philippines with OPM. But that's how I got exposed to Asian American culture. That's how I learned about Bruno Mars, because he was performing in this one event that the channel hosted. Um, Anyways, yeah, the Nutchuck was probably their only animated show, and I remember they would have a disclaimer in the beginning, be like, "Oh, this is not for kids." So I started running and closing the TV, and whenever the Nutchuck would show on advertisements, I'll try to turn off. I remember they had like this one with Manny Pacquiao, and my dad wanted to see what's up, but I turned off the TV and ran away.
Wait, you grew up on the Nut Shack?
I mean, I
Or
did
the,
not I did not watch it, but like it was kind of I
she knew
treated
what it was.
yeah, I knew what it was, and I watched it like a few like once it started becoming a meme, and it's not as bad as like it's not as vulgar as I thought it was gonna be, but it was not really a tasteful show. Like coming from a Filipino American, it's not a tasteful show.
Wow, you're like a Nut Shack hipster. Like it got big, and you're like, I know all about this.
I mean like I know that there's going to be more representation, Asian representation in Western media or Western animated media, like Amphibia. The main character is Thai American.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That's my hot take. Not to just keep droning on the Nut Shack, but like that's my hot take. Is I still think the art in the show is like pretty good. Like the art style is like great. It's just that they didn't really have a budget to make something like. I think someone posted concept art and it was like all like graffiti themed and like it was a really cool look. It's just like that's what happens is you don't have the budget, you don't have like the hours to make this masterpiece. I mean, it's called the Nut Shack.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's based on vinyl culture. I can't even
Yeah,
pronounce.
vinyl.
Yeah, it's like it was more like vinyl culture, the AZN 2000s culture, which is obviously big in California. Like I'm pretty sure California was like a whole ASEAN hub because they had like a big population of Asian Americans.
Oh yeah, and I mean like that's so like tied into like urban art and
Yeah,
skating culture and like no, I really miss when that you just like see that kind of stuff everywhere, like in ads. That's such like the big thing in the early 2000s or like mid 2000s, skating and yeah, like Jet Set Radio kind of.
yeah,
That was
basically.
big
It
on
was,
all that. Yeah.
I was just like, yo, that's my aesthetic, guys. And that was like me in middle school. I would be obsessing over that stuff and Vocaloid, K-pop before it got big. Um, uh, and J-pop. Um, yeah, and I know like we are talking about Leap, but I I want to use like one of my main goals that I want to try to do is try to associate how Asian American in Asian or sorry, tongue tied here,
Yeah, it's
but
cool.
just Asian Americans in mainstream media have progressed. Like, for example, I'm not sure if you may know, though, but there's like this label 88 Rising.
No, it's a
I
like, clothing
um,
label or something.
yeah, it's like it's a label illuminating Asian artists. So there's artists such as Rich Brian. Do you remember Rich Chiga? He was like a meme.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Rich
From
Chiga.
he was on YouTube or something, right?
Yeah, and you remember Filthy Frank, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's now known as Joji, but he's he was on the label as well, and
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's cool.
yeah, he's on the label and thing. He's giving like those e-boy vibes, sad boy e-boy vibes, um, and it's nice because they illuminate a lot of a good chunk of the well-known artists are from Indonesia, and if you go back, Indonesia is not. It wasn't a country that would first go to mind when you think of Asia. It's like a lot of people they don't. If that makes sense.
Well,
It's
yeah, I get it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, um, like Europe. I mean, like,
Mhm.
um, you go to like I don't know, like to college dining hall or whatever, and dining hall's like we're having a European feast, and you're like, oh, we're having like French or like Venus Schnitzel, and you show up and it's like Ukrainian food. What? Yeah.
Like, what is Ukraine?
Well, yeah, I mean, like Europe. I mean, Europe's kind of the same way. I mean, like most people just care about like Italy, like England. But I mean, for every England or Italy, there's like, you know, um,
um,
geez, I don't know,
Europe definitely
some
has it.
random country out there.
Yeah, definitely has its nuances, but like I said, Asia just has a lot of cultures ingrained within because it's a big country. It's a big continent. Europe is a little on the smaller side. Still, they still have their culture, but it's not as diverse as Asia.
I mean, yeah, but
That,
that's just my point. Yeah, it's just like, Europe, I guess, the same way. Like a lot of like little countries there that people are like Hungary. No thanks.
yeah. Um,
Sorry to all my Hungarian fans in the chat.
um, but yeah, I I also I also um, grew up watching Wong Fu Productions, and actually one of the people there, Simu Liu, he was now in Shang-Chi. That was pretty cool.
Oh, which guy was it?
Simu Liu?
Oh, yes, yes, from Kim's Convenience.
Yeah, yeah, that guy. And it, it, it YouTube definitely had a platform for Asian Americans as well.
Yeah.
Like,
That's where Aquafina got her star, wasn't it? Yeah.
Niga Higa, Adria Raphael, and I mean now that 88 Rising is sort of like a huge production house, they've been illuminating people all over the place. Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking we could get into questions.
Of course, yes. I was just like, okay, where's this conversation leading? I don't want things to die off. We're talking about music here.
I mean, it's just how the podcast goes, and I just segue into random thoughts or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a question. What's like, I don't know, something like you watch every Halloween. Like, Halloween's in what, like a week. So like, is there anything like you do or watch every Halloween? Or like, oh, this is my favorite Halloween special or whatever.
I never really did a lot of things for Halloween. It, but when I was younger, like pre FSU, we obviously did trick or treating. In FSU, I would dress up as characters, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, I would do like some sort of cosplay. I was not in FSU that semester, but in fall 2019, I was I was joining, I was attending this one event for UCF's Vietnamese Student Association, or VASA, and they had like a Halloween event. I dressed up as the mom from Mean Girls.
Oh, okay. Which
Yeah.
actress is it? Oh, that's Tina Fey, I think.
No, that's Amy Poehler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I in freshman year though, I remember wearing like some pink crop top and this high waisted long skirt, and people are just like, "Hey, Moana." I'm like,
Um, yeah, I remember when I was a freshman. There was one girl. She was walking around, campus on the day of Halloween, and
uh-huh.
she went like class and everything, and she was dressed as the kid. What was his name? Danny or something from It.
Oh, Georgie, right?
Georgie, that's right. That's right.
Georgie,
She
yeah.
had the yellow rain jacket, and she carried around a red balloon. And I think people were like kind of freaked, which is kind of cringe. I mean, it's just cosplaying. People
Yeah.
were like, oh, scary, and I'm like, bruh, this girl's like, you know, she's just cosplaying. Like people were like kind of freaked. She just showed me like the reactions. Like she'd show up with like snap stories and everything. And like, yeah,
Ooh.
for me, like, um, I love, um, I love the first or second, whatever I can't remember, but the regular show, Terror Tales from the Park.
Oh, I remember that. The one that I remember is the doll saying that he was gonna write on people's faces.
Yeah, Percy, because I saw that a week or two ago. See, I don't really care for that one, but the one I really love is the Wizard Who Turns Rigby in the House.
Oh, that was funny. I'm just like Rigby thick.
Um, I know I
Wait,
love that.
wait. No, that just remembered. There was like this one day that I saw you. You were wearing like a blue button shirt, and I was wearing like a brown sweater. And I'm like, bro, we be cosplaying as Mordecai and Rigby, and it was in January.
Yeah, yeah, bro. It's like, oh, hold on a second. Oh, jeez. Um, sorry about that. I just got like a call from my fans as always.
Well, are they angry right now?
No,
Yeah, no, no.
no, yeah, yeah. I do remember that because I was like really tall and you were like
It's
much shorter
short, and
than
then
me.
like whenever we hang out, there's gonna be a car that tries to hit us.
Yeah. Uh, wait, what? Wait, what?
Yeah,
Wait, what's
exactly.
that got to do with Mordecai and Rigby?
No, like the height difference, and then when we're walking, it's like it's either the height difference or we almost get hit by a car.
Actually, I vaguely remember that almost happening.
Damn.
I don't know. I don't know. Florida drivers be crazy, but Mordecai and Rigby.
Uh,
Isn't that what they would do?
I guess, yeah.
Like,
Um, didn't you dress up as Ace Ventura at one point, or I think that's something.
no, I made a joke because like I actually just dress up like him anyway because he wears like white shirt, and then he wears like, Hawaiian shirt, and then like jeans and a belt, and he like, so my hair is like, um, short enough where I could like spike it up, but like someone pointed out, like, yeah, you just, bro, like, why are you cosplaying as him? I'm like, I'm not. This isn't a cosplay. What are you trying to say?
New Moana.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just Ace Ventura. Oh, righty then.
Yeah.
I like Jim Carrey.
Hmm. I remember when I dressed up as one of the detention air characters last year.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah.
Knock knock.
It's weird. That was like a year ago.
Yeah, but I might cosplay as Fiona and Finn and Jake because I have the hair, I've got the costume, I even have the hat, and I can just use my chunky Garfield as Jake.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I've been really busy this month, so I haven't been able to like. I didn't get a costume or anything because like I didn't care because my friend is getting married um, on Saturday, actually, this Saturday,
Right.
and yeah, I'm the best man. So I've been doing a lot of like stuff with him and the groomsmen. Went boating like a week or two ago. A lot of like getting ready for stuff like that. But that's taken up a lot of time on like weekends. So it's like I haven't really been like doing anything really.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Which I
Same.
guess like I guess I could just cosplay as like Ace Ventura.
True.
Be like, what? You don't recognize me, bro? I was in the hottest movie of 1994. Like, what are you talking about, bro? You don't know Ace Ventura.
I think I replicated the Pulp Fiction.
Oh, which one? Which character?
Mia Wallace.
Oh, that's pretty good. You got like the wig.
Actually, I think my hair was short then, so
It's pretty cool.
yeah.
Um, do you have like dress up days in high school?
Okay, yes. Yes, I did. So, story here. We had this thing called Decades Day where each class had to dress from a decade. And I don't know what's with my sophomore class then, but like class of 2017, 70, 80, everyone was wearing togas. And I'm just like, yeah, no. So I decided to dress up as a steampunk time traveler. There, boom.
I like that idea. Like, I don't know, you're just a teacher and you're just like, my job sucks or whatever. And then you just head over to class and everyone's wearing a toga and you're like, what the hell is going on? I remember for those days, I would go like all out. And
Uh-huh.
so I'd go all out, but at the same time, like, I was just kind of like, high school kid. I didn't know any better. Just
Uh-huh.
in my mind, I thought it looked good, but like in application, it was actually horrible. Like for instance, Anchorman 2 was coming out one year. I was
Yeah.
just, for whatever reason, I was just stupidly excited for it. So, yeah, one year I went as Ron Burgundy, but I didn't like own a burgundy suit. I just had like a navy one. So my entire costume was just me in a suit and like a fake mustache. And like, I'd say the quotes, but like, I don't look anything like Will Ferrell. And like, that was pretty cringe looking back. Yeah, but I do like random dumb stuff like that all the time where people are like, what are you like? What are you even trying to be? Um, I don't know. The absolute worst was Duo Day.
Okay, yes, bro. I can't even do duo day. Like, first of all, I don't really even have someone to dress up with. That's why I don't like. That's why I think couple costumes are weird.
Well,
I
my friend and I were going to go as Agent J and K from Men in Black.
Oh, that's good one. That's good.
Yeah, that would have been really cool because we had like a bunch of classes together and stuff. But
Hmm.
like, He only had one suit, and it was getting like had to get dry cleaned. So yeah, what was really dumb was like we had to like figure something else out, and we ended up doing for whatever reason, um, Beverly Hills Cop.
Mm.
Like that's not a horrible idea, but
Mm-hmm.
like he was Axel Foley, and I was like Judge Reinhold's character.
Eh.
As like, ah, yes, yes, name a better film duo, Axel Foley and whoever, you know, Judge Reinhold's character's name was.
My
So
gosh.
that was like explaining that to people, like, oh yeah, I'm Judge Reinhold from Beverly Hills Cop, and people would be like, I have no idea what any of those things are.
Damn. Actually, you just reminded me of this one duo day. There are these two guys. Um, they dressed up as Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump. And Lieutenant Dan, he literally brought his wheelchair. I mean,
He was like in a wheelchair or something.
yeah, he was in a wheelchair, and literally they were walking around, and they were holding the American flag. Yeah,
There was
I,
there was one epic dude for Throwback Thursday.
uh-huh.
It was it was pretty good. Just he was just some guy, and he wore like white pants and like a white shirt, and then he had a cutout of a certain cell that he like he was basically a sperm cell.
Nice. No,
And he had this giant like cutout that like you go to those photo ops and you put your head or your face through like a hole and it's like
oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
he had one of those, but it's like this massive like cell. And apparently like the vice principal or whatever got like mad at him, forced him to throw it away. For like
What? What's wrong with biology?
that's really ballsy of him. No pun intended.
No, actually, for duo day, I decided to just like go in my regular outside clothes because I went to a Catholic school, so uniforms. Um, but I literally just walked around and I had a sign that said I burned my twin alive.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Uh, or, well, actually, when I was around the teachers, it was my twin went missing, but when I just didn't care, I just said I burned my twin alive. Like,
My favorite one I ever did, because I did a lot. I did like Batman one day, one year. But my favorite was senior year. I did Bill Clinton. I just walked
oh,
around. So I had like a toy saxophone
oh,
that
okay.
I like have, and I had like his shades. And again, I was wearing a suit. I don't know. I was all about like dressing nicely in high school, but like um, yeah, just go around. People actually like that was pretty good. Just like they like try to say something funny and I'd ad lib, and that was pretty good. For as much as like I wore costumes that were like grossly outdated by decades that weren't like relevant. At least that one, people were like, all right, Ryan, this is a dub. This is pretty good. Good times. Well, I wouldn't go as far as say a good time. Just okay.
Okay times.
It was okay.
I mean, like, to be honest, dress down days are back in my high school days, dress down days were like OMG to me because uniforms, everyone just wears the same thing. So, like, to have a dress down day was a privilege. Or just to have like a day where we would wear jeans, that was a privilege. I mean,
A good point.
yeah. Or just wear like a non uniform jacket. Like the only everyday, day to day creativity that I would have was my shoes. And I wore Oxfords. I was an Oxfords girl.
Uh-huh. It's like Miles Morales in Spider Verse. He had to wear school uniforms in that movie.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't that coming out like next year? Hold on, hold on.
Yeah.
Oh snap, dude! It's out next October.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. I think Spider Woman's in it. I see Issa Rae is um, is in the cast as Jessica Drew. I don't really read comics or Marvel comics. I don't really read, but like, um, yeah, that's pretty sick. I'm pretty stoked for that. There are a lot of movies coming out like next year. Like, I'm just seeing now like that Buzz Lightyear movie. I guess.
Okay, because this segment's about comics, comic book movies. Oh, made a little connection here.
Yeah, yeah, it did.
I mean, I watched Venom too. It was okay. It was just like, eh,
Um, I really want to do like Venom 2 dedicated like segment one of these episodes because
okay.
like objectively, yeah, I'd say it was just like but I had a lot of like I had a lot of fun with it and like at least like even if it wasn't very good, it was a lot more entertaining than like the first one.
Or I'm gonna make another connection now. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
This is my other hot take. I was more entertained during Venom 2 than Shang-Chi. I
Yeah,
like Shang-Chi decently, but like
yeah.
Venom 2 like harnessed the power of like cringe.
It was pretty cringy. He's just like, oh, I wanted to be your friend, but I'm like, his motives was not clear.
I was like I busted out laughing at that one scene where like Eddie Brock has to like draw someone and Venom's like, no, Eddie, like this. And he just do you remember what I was talking about? Like his special effects were so stupid in that scene.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, but like back to what I was saying,
Yeah,
like
Shang-Chi.
yeah, Shang-Chi. It was very reminiscent of the kung fu movies I grew up with, and there was like Loki, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon vibes. Like
Okay.
I was for it, but then like it fast forwards to San Francisco, and like it's like probably 2/3 of the way in, it just became flat. It all fell flat. Like it, the quality of that movie is a logarithmic curve.
Yeah, I agree. I think the longer it goes on, the more like I was like, whatever. Because like that bus scene was pretty cool. Yeah, the homages to martial arts cinema that
Yeah,
was cool.
yeah.
Um, I've seen a handful of Bruce Lee movies. I've seen a lot of Stephen Chow films.
Yes, Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah, no, Shaolin Soccer is my favorite.
I
Um,
watched that one too.
yeah, so that was cool. The dad was a really good, well-written character. Like that monologue when they're at dinner, like that was genuinely a great, like, well-written scene when he's talking about like I'm known as a Mandarin, I'm known as this or that, but really nothing matters. Um, Now it's been a little while since I've seen it, so maybe I'm not saying it right, but I remember it did leave an impact on me. I was like, wow, that was a really great scene. But um,
I mean, he's just a really good actor. I mean,
oh yeah,
um, I've 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 probably seen like one of his films before Shang-Chi. I can't remember the name, but I remember the director, War Kong Kai, and that director is really good. I'm just gonna say right now, Fallen Angels is a really good movie. It's like Lost. It gives you Lost in Translation vibes.
oh cool.
Yeah.
Like looking at, but definitely by the time they got into like when they got into like the jail, that part and onward. So I think that's when they find the guy from Iron Man 3. Just like that part and onward, I was just kind of tired of the movie. I'm just kind of like whatever. When they got to that CGI like battle, I was just like out of it. I thought the choreography was like phenomenal. Um, in certain parts, but well, like I also thought the camera was too janky. Like it was shaking way too much for something where like you really need to watch it or appreciate like the artistry in martial arts. And I feel that was like something like that kind of ruined it for me. It was like the editing and the camera work. Like that scaffolding fight on paper was like that was really cool, but like it was so dark. The screen was so dark, and like the camera's so shaky. It was like I can't. It's hard for me to like really see what's happening here. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like it, I guess it. There was just like a lot of commentary in the movie stating that how it sort of enhances boba liberalism, and it was just and how it sort of highlighted East Asian culture more than like the whole Asian diaspora. It's like, oh, it just mainly focuses on just Chinese culture, but it's not like showcasing other cultures or other Asian American country cultures outside of Chinese American. And like that was a little toothpick that I had. Like, oh, I kind of want to have like some sort of Filipino representation. Um, I mean, of course, the soundtrack is it's really great because they have the 88 Rising Stars. Um, they had like Rich Brian, Nikki. They're from Indonesia, or Keshi, who's based in Houston but is of Vietnamese heritage. There was no Joji. I guess Disney does not want to be affiliated with Pink Eye.
Well, they have to leave something for Shang-Chi too.
Yeah, I want Pink Eye and Shang-Chi too.
No, just like make him the star, man, or make him like
Yeah,
a
make him the
main
star,
villain,
make him the villain, make him the
make him a
villain.
villain or something. Yeah, make him all the characters.
Oh, yeah, just like Shang-Chi's trying to like go after a guy in a pink morph suit. Like,
No, it's like that meme from Dark Knight Rises where it's like Bane like going and then the camera.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's the movie. You make it like that. You know?
No, well, I can just see Pink Eye being like the Riddler or the Joker type of villain to Shang-Chi. That would be amazing.
I saw that the Batman trailer. It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty fire.
Yeah. I thought that DC films were gonna stop producing. I thought.
Yeah. Like why would they? They still make money.
Oh, true. Someone told me, but whatever.
I mean, I don't know. I think they're at a really good place now that they're just like trying to make something like Marvel, or trying to make something like so. I guess generic is the right word because like Justice League is just so like PG-13, mild, boring. Um, yeah, I've seen Snyder Cut, but whatever. I'm talking about the original release, and a lot of those like movies are just so boring. Like something like Joker, where they're experimenting, making it rated R, making it kind of like realistic. That or just embracing the camp in Birds of Prey and making that R. Um, I think they're in a really good position like now that they're like, oh, even the Suicide Squad, like they're just like James Gunn, just here's the keys, just like do whatever you want and make
Nom nom.
something crazy, I mean,
Nom nom. Yeah, I kind of, I'm gonna be frank with you right now, but I guess this is an unpopular opinion. I feel like DC movies are more creative now. Like the more recent DC films, they have like a better air of creativity and individuality. Like Marvel, they're coming off on a formula. It was good at first, but it's just like you can tell there is a formula involved. I feel like with DC, they kind of just throw an arrow and make the plants grow from there.
Yeah, it's basically what I said in the previous segment was just like, yeah, that summed it up. Was I was like, yeah, I mean, DC's taking risks, and they're not always going to work out, but like, at least, like, you're not going to see, um, Birds of Prey type of thing, or like a Joker from Marvel. That's the weird thing is like, because Marvel under Fox, they actually did that. Like, they made Logan, they took a risk with Deadpool, just stuff like that. And they weren't really, in the end, they weren't really afraid of like trying something new and kind of like weird, running the risk. But yeah, just again, like I said in a previous segment, Disney is doing like Deadpool 3 rated R, but like their movies work, but I don't really. I'm just kind of bored with them. I see like the Eternals. I'm like, whatever. If Spider-Man No Way Home didn't have like the previous versions of Spider-Man in it, like the Raimi trilogy stuff, and then like the Amazing Spider-Man stuff, I would not care about it. But like,
What? You wouldn't care about seeing like the old school Spider-Mans?
well, no, that's what I mean. If it didn't have that stuff in it, it was just
Oh,
like
okay,
a
okay.
regular like Spider-Man movie, I'd be like, yeah, I don't care. I'm sorry. I would not care, but because yeah, like Toby might be in it, I'm like, okay, I need to watch this.
Yeah, okay, so not too much off the topic, but when I saw Mr. Dr. Octagonopus, I kept thinking of that meme from the Laser Collection, Dr. Octagonopus. Blarg!
Wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Dr. Octagonopus.
Wow. It's a classic meme.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually interested how Dr. Octagonopus is gonna play out in the movie.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to see because that's in like month and a half. I'm
Mhm.
really stoked. I'm like, it's really shocking that they've really just shown us like practically nothing. They gave like one trailer, and that's pretty much it. And we kind of know what's going on here, but not really. And I'm genuinely like interested to see how this is going to turn out because
Yeah,
even with a lot of their older movies or just movies out like that have been coming out, like you get a good idea what's going to happen. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
It's gonna be like it's just gonna be. Um, I swear, if I'm gonna go to a movie house, I'm gonna see trailers that it's literally just Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya. It like literally, I I saw the trailer for Dune. No, no, yeah, I saw the trailer for Dune, and I saw Zendaya. Then I saw the No Way Home, and I saw Zendaya. It was like Zendaya back to back.
yeah, no. I got AMC A list, so for like about $20, I see like get to see like up to 3 movies a week for free. It's $20 a month, and it's like a really good deal. But no, I mean you made a good point. I saw Dune last night, and then sometime next week I want to see the new Wes Anderson, The French Dispatch, and that stars Timothy as well. So I'm like
Oh, yeah.
seeing like two of his movies like back to back, basically.
Yeah, I want to see Timothy in Willy Wonka. Like, I'm actually interested because usually I'm not really that interested in Timothy. I think he's just some sort of he's like some other generic white boy that girls fawn over. But it's so I never really saw that appeal. But then like um when I saw pictures of him, like say what while his career was progressing, it was just like, oh, I can see like how he's really portraying himself out there. It's just I kind of had a bone to pick with Dune, or I had a toothpick with Dune because there was not a lot of Southwest Asian, North African representation, even though it was inspired from that culture, and it's like,
I saw it last night. I mean, I thought it was pretty diverse in terms of like the cast, because like I think the trailers really left out a lot. Um, I don't know. I knew nothing about Dune. I watched it. I did a little background research, but I never read the book. I thought it was like overall, I thought it was pretty good, but I didn't love it. I mean, the like cinematography and the like music by Hans Zimmer was like your brain flips upside down because it's like this. It's pretty much like the most amazing like looking thing ever and the most amazing sounding thing ever. But the actual narrative, I mean, like it's not like Dune is a mainstream thing. I think a lot of people like know about it, but I feel like they really put like $200 million into this kind of this surrealist kind of world, and that's something I can really respect. You know, that's awesome that it's not something so like it doesn't feel mainstream. It feels just weird. It feels like not unpolished, but you know what I mean. It doesn't feel like this is for everyone. It feels like a movie where it's like if you're a fan of it, like you're gonna eat it up. You know what I mean? Like if you're into this thing, like it'll be the greatest movie ever made, practically. I mean, I enjoy it, but we're getting that's a little beyond the point. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, it's getting about closing time
Mhm.
for the rock shop. Christine, where can my audience find you and your webcomic league?
Of course. So just follow my Instagram, leap dot the dot comic, and the profile picture would be a frog. Um, or you can follow my personal as well. It's hey dot it's dot Chris Murray.
And
But
one more thing about Leap, it's spelled Leap, like
mhm,
yeah, like
like
the
leap
action
frog. That's
leaping.
why there's a
Yeah,
frog. It's like leap.
yeah. I noticed that. Um, but yeah, thanks for coming, Christine. If I actually had a rock shop comic store,
Mhm.
I'd throw Leap on the shelf.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
so everyone go check her comic out. Give some support to an up and coming indie comic book writer and artist.
mhm. Yeah, like my main goal for Leap is to adapt it to some sort of TV series or movie, most likely a TV series or yeah, like some sort of animated series.
Kind of like a slice of life regular show kind of thing. I get that vibe, and
Mhm.
that's one thing I'll say. It's very chill. It's very
Very
like it's
chill.
very readable. You can just read one, go on the next, and it's just chill vibes, which is pretty neat.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's about time we close up. But until next time, guys. Yep, I've been Rye the Tiger, and yeah, see you on episode 3. Episode,
Bye.
yeah. One last thing. Tune in next time. Going to talk about YouTube. The main attraction is I'm going to be interviewing a filmmaker that I know. He's coming out with a short film, and I've seen it, and it's pretty cool. So be on the lookout for that. And we have a secret third segment, an up and coming musician, the biggest rapper in the indie Atlanta scene. So it's a big deal. Get ready for that. But yeah, till next time. See you guys.
Yeah.